Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be talking about the two Mercedes drivers of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas and discussing on whether or not we feel Valtteri Bottas does actually have a shot at the World Championship and the Drivers' Championship for this season going into 2021. So yeah, really, without further ado, let's get into it. Now I obviously have to quickly mention, it hasn't been done in any previous videos before, but I obviously have to congratulate Lewis Hamilton on getting his knighthood in the UK and will be becoming Sir Lewis Hamilton in the sort of New Year honours. So yeah, congratulations to Lewis Hamilton for that. I'm not sure if that means the commentators are now going to have to say Sir Lewis Hamilton when he goes around the track, but yeah, had an absolutely impressive year. Levelled Michael Schumacher in terms of 7 World Championships, and of course won BBC's Sports Personality of the Year in the UK as well, GQ's Game Changer of the Year as well, and was named in Time Magazine's Most Influential People or 100 Most Influential People. So Stefano Domenicali, who is now the incoming CEO, stated that Lewis is a true giant of our sport and his influence is huge in and out of the car. What he has achieved is phenomenal and he obviously still has more to come. All of us at Formula 1 congratulate him on his well-deserved recognition of achievements and look forward to seeing him and seeing more of his brilliance in 2021. Now, of course, we still have the fact that he hasn't actually signed a deal with Mercedes, or it's not been announced that he's signed a deal for 2021, but everybody's just going through the fact that, oh, it's all right, Mercedes aren't going to part ways, Lewis Hamilton isn't going to leave the sport when he's in a winning car. So we're basically all just thinking it has actually signed, but there hasn't been a proper announcement to say that he will be in that car for this up and coming season. We obviously know Valtteri Bottas has signed a deal for this season at the end of last year that he signed for this year. I'm pretty sure it's only another 1-year deal. It might be 2. I'm pretty sure it's only 1, because obviously there's still thoughts that Russell could take over in 2022. But obviously this, like I said, this main video is sort of looking at whether we feel like Valtteri Bottas is going to be a strong contender for the actual Drivers' Championship coming into this year. Now we know that I, of course, for the last 2 years running, have said that I believed Bottas would win the Drivers' Championship, and for 2 years in a row I've been absolutely wrong. And last year was a little bit humiliated simply because of the fact that the gap in the points in the end was absolutely huge. It was over 100 points. Was it like 112 or something? It was absolutely huge. And to start, we won the first race in Austria. He looked like his confidence was there at the beginning of the season, but after that it just sort of dissipated again, and we had another Valtteri Bottas that struggled in a few races. Obviously, I always say that he is the most unlucky driver in the sport, especially when you're coming up against somebody that never hardly breaks down in Lewis Hamilton, and he's always in the right place at the right time. Especially, you look at his Turkish Grand Prix, one of his best ever races, was lower down to begin with, and ended up winning the race in really poor conditions. And obviously, we saw Valtteri Bottas pirouette about 4 times in that race. So Lewis Hamilton is one of the best racing drivers to ever grace the sport of Formula 1. So it is really difficult for Valtteri Bottas, and Lewis Hamilton has been saying in this sort of season break, as it were, between the end of Abu Dhabi and the start of this new season, which is at Bahrain now. And he has gone on to say that Bottas deserves more respect for what he does, and he's actually one of the strongest drivers in terms of the mental stakes, or has one of the strongest mental capacities. And to be honest, if you're going to be competing alongside Lewis Hamilton, I think you need that anyway, because of, like I said, Lewis Hamilton is always has great reliability. He's fast. He manages to get into great situations if maybe he's not going to win the race, he makes sure he gets on the podium, makes sure he gets good points. You have to have a strong mental capacity and strong resilience to be teammate to Lewis Hamilton, because effectively you are judged by what you do against your teammate. As much as you look at other drivers, you are in the same car as your teammate. You are judged on that, and Bottas must have to have a strong mental resilience to be able to combat that, because a lot of questions, the majority of the time, are regards to him and Lewis Hamilton. I said it was 112. I'm looking now. It was 124 points that it was between them. One of the biggest margins yet between the two of them. and that was with an even shorter season as well. So, but yeah, Lewis Hamilton has gone to say, he does, he is sort of due respect in that. When I talk about people, need to give Valtteri his due respect, I think we've got to remember who he's driving up against. It's not easy being my teammate, That's a bit. I don't know if that's a bit of sarcasm or what, but yeah, you got to remember who he's driving up against. All right, Lewis. But he comes in, weekend in, weekend out with the same mentality. He's never moaning, complaining that there's something wrong with the car. He's always got to do. I've always got to do a better job. I don't know any drivers that does that. I think it's something we share in common. We go into this weekend with a fresh head, and I think mentally he's one of the strongest drivers here. That was from Abu Dhabi. I think this is, like I said, this is from notes from Abu Dhabi. So. In terms of obviously Valtteri Bottas, we have said for the last few years it's Valtteri 2.0, it's Valtteri 3.0. I think is it Valtteri 4.0 this season round. He is getting stronger and stronger. I know the margin was more last year, but I felt like times during the season he was faster than Lewis, and most of the time, or a few seasons, especially when he first started at Mercedes, it wasn't that. But I felt like last year in a couple of races he was actually better than Lewis Hamilton. And I know ultimately if you want to be the drivers' championship, or you want to be the drivers' champion, you have to do that consistently over the whole season, and obviously Valtteri hasn't been able to do that yet. But like I said, there were times last year where a couple of races of the season he was the strongest. And look, there are the smallest of margins, and in terms of qualifying, he was so close to Lewis almost every single time, just by the fractions of a second. And obviously that does annoy you probably as a driver, that you're so close to him, but you just didn't get it over the line. But the fact that he's that close now is he is closing the gap in qualifying. I just think the race situation sometimes he needs to be as good, if not better, than Lewis Hamilton to sort of get that and make sure he is winning more races than Hamilton. I still think, I know it could be his last season in Mercedes. Obviously people were talking about at the Sakir Grand Prix when Russell took over how well Russell did, and he did do a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see Russell in that Mercedes in the future. I still think obviously Bottas, it might be his last season at Mercedes this time round. So if you sort of have that mindset, let's just go full out. I know I said this last year, but let's just go full out. Doesn't really matter. Let's just go and try and do as well as we can. And I personally still think he's got a shot at challenging Lewis Hamilton. I know I've said this 2 years in a row now, and it hasn't worked, but I feel like I've said it now, so I might as well keep it consistent. I still think he's got a shot of challenging Lewis Hamilton properly for the Drivers' Championship. Whether or not that actually takes place or not, I don't know. But I have to go in with that mindset of Valtteri can still do it. I am a big fan of Bottas. Respect him on and off the sort of the track. He's a very quiet individual, but he gets on with what he needs to do. I think it's. I still think he has a shot. Basically, the answer to it is yes. I still think he does have a shot of beating Lewis Hamilton this year. Only time will tell in terms of the first couple of races and whether or not he has got that luck, whether or not he has got the pace. If he can get maybe the first two races of the season, he out-qualifies his teammate and does well in the race, that's only going to help in his confidence for the rest of the season. So he needs a good start. And I know he won the Austrian Grand Prix the first race of the season last year, and it sort of disappeared away at the end of the year. But I feel like he needs that good start. He needs that momentum kicker. He needs that, I've got this going forward. So, I think if he gets that, great. If he struggles at the start of the season and Lewis Hamilton gets them points and starts building the gap already, it could be difficult to come back. He's never going to not lose that fire to try and win every race weekend, but if Lewis Hamilton's like 60 or 70 points in 4 races away from him, then it's going to be a difficult challenge again. Although if we still keep the 23 races and the highest race calendar this year, then who knows? You've got more races and more opportunities to catch Lewis. But it will always be difficult against Sir Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, that's it. Ultimately, my answer is yes. I still believe Valtteri can do it. Do you though? I know I'm one of the minority in terms of Valtteri Bottas. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas will have a better battle this year? Do you think Valtteri Bottas can come out on top, or do you ultimately think that Lewis Hamilton at the end of this season is going to be an 8-time World Championship? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.